All right, everybody. Unhappy Friday. Coming to you live from our humble abodes. It is Unhappy and the MP. We thank you for joining us from wherever you may be, whatever device you're using to watch us on YouTube. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume if you've got to. Use the company dime if, God forbid, you're still stuck at work on a Friday night. Crack open a cold one because I know you want it. The weekend is here. And let's have some fun as we put an end to this week's hostage situation and look forward to another glorious weekend. Mason, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, brother. Had another week of hair graying, but we pull out the win. I'm really excited to talk about
it. Yeah, fun stuff. Well, let's get right down to it. Let's get to Michelle's favorite part of the show here. Everyone, we are proudly sponsored by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Cheerleaders brings you the area's most beautiful women on 5 different stages. Open 7 days a week from noon until 2 a.m. and until 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For group information, call 215-467-1980. Also offering free parking, a full menu, daily drinking food specials, and a premium selection of cigars in a cigar lounge. If you're looking for a place to watch the birds and you don't want to sell a kidney to get over to the link, and a buddy of mine just sent me those ticket prices. Yowza. Head on over to Cheerleaders instead and enjoy the 75-foot HD TV wall, as well as HD TV screens throughout the entire club. Once again, folks, that's Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group and party information. As always, bottom of the screen, greenlegion.com. It will be there every week, promise, without fail. If you're looking for a way to do an away game, if you're looking for a home tailgate, look no further, greenlegion.com. Click on trips and tailgates. Click on away trips if that's your fancy. If it doesn't say sold out, book it and don't look back. Don't hesitate. You know what they say about he who hesitates, right? We don't need to go through that. If you're just looking for a home tailgate, greenlegion.com, trips and tailgates, home tailgates. Find the one that you want to go to. Again, if it does not say sold out, book it and do not look back. You will not find a better way to do this, folks. I promise. The longest tenured and best in the business, greenlegion.com, servicing you across the country every season. Folks are headed down to Dallas today. There is a little bit of, for me, that's the trip that Michelle and I on. We had to back out of it. But like I talked about last week, when one door closes, another one does open. I actually did a TV spot this past Wednesday to promote this fantastic event with that the Midwest Eagles Nest is going to partner with True Strength Awareness watch party at the Back Porch Saloon. Former Philadelphia Eagle Jordan Hicks, the president of True Strength, will be there in attendance with his family, along with his family and some folks from True Strength as well. Going to be a good time. I can put up the link to the TV interview. It was actually pretty fun. The young lady I was with is the director of communications for True Strength. She was very, very nervous. I think they walked in there thinking I was going to carry most of it, and I had to tell her, like, the focus isn't on us. I'm just here to promote the event with our group and at the Back Porch. Valerie, this is really more about True Strength. I might get 30 seconds to a minute. The other 2 minutes are all you. And she started to get a little nervous. So the young lady who actually conducted the interview came out into the green room, spoke to us for a few minutes, got her calmed down a bit. And it went really well. Very quick 3-minute spot, but it was a lot of fun. And I'm very thankful to our great friend of the program, as Quimby likes to say, great friend of the program to the Midwest Eagles Nest, and a great friend overall, Lee Cummings. Thank you again, brother. If you're out there listening, I think you're in French Lick, Indiana right now with your wife for your anniversary weekend. So I hope you are not taking time out of that to listen to this. But thank you again, brother, if and when you do hear this. So that's where we're at. In the room already, who do we got? we've got Russ Taylor, we've got Dev, we've got Lou Mancini, we got Keenan Harmon, we've got the regular cast of characters in here, right? Anybody else? No, sir. How are all you guys doing? Russ Taylor, as always. Happy Friday, bitches. Dev, what's up, y'all? How you doing? Lou Mancini says, wake up, Mason Adam is missing. I have to go get some water, bro. You know me. I've always got this jug of water over here. Mason, take notes. As you get older, water becomes more and more important to keep everything flowing.
Try to get out ahead of it. Try to get out ahead of it.
Get started young, dude. That way you don't have to carry around a half-gallon jug like I do. Go Birds, go Birds. So yeah, we do know it is Dallas week. Always a fun week for us. A lot of memes and fun stuff going around. I created one myself the other day. It's like a cartoon one where it looks like a bunch of people Christmas caroling in Dallas Cowboys attire. And at the top, I put, "Oh, mama, I'm in fear for my life." So we've been having some fun with that all week. But yeah, it's been a busy week, but a fun week. Yeah, that's pretty much it from my end. How is your week going, bro?
We're doing good. It's always it's the build up to Thanksgiving, so a lot of planning going on, a lot of organizing going on. There's a lot to have to mentally and emotionally digest after watching the offense on Sunday, and so that was rough, but nonetheless, I think it was good. The week went fine, and I'm looking forward to another week.
All right, there it is. So before we get to the disaster known as the Birds offense and the spectacular display of defense, I do have a couple of questions, a couple of things real quick outside of the Eagles. I got two things, and they're on the AFC side. First one is Cincinnati Bengals have listed Joe Burrow as questionable for this Sunday. This is Cincinnati Bengals team's 3-7. This is a Cincinnati Bengals team that would have to win out to have any kind of shot at a playoff berth. And they have already lost games to Denver, the Jets, and Pittsburgh on the AFC side. So they would not only have to win out at home. So here's their balance of their schedule. So they have to win out through this, right? So keep that in mind. They have to win out to get to 10 wins, which is kind of that magic number, right? They're at home against New England this weekend. Then they're at Baltimore, at Buffalo, home for Baltimore. Then they're at Miami, home for Arizona and Cleveland. Now, Miami doesn't seem like it poses too much of a threat, except for the fact that the Bengals can't play a lick of defense. Arizona is a very, very wishy-washy team. Cleveland, as bad as they are, gives the Bengals absolute fits every time they play them. Joe Burrow himself has been, I think it's 3 up and 5 down in his career against the Browns. So I don't, with an injury-prone quarterback, and let's face it, at this point, there's no other way to describe Joe Burrow as just flat-out injury-prone, and a guy that does hold the ball too long, with a with a very shaky offensive line and a play caller who likes to call big plays that take a while to develop in the first place. The question becomes, why at this point, with that gauntlet over the next 4 weeks, would you bring Joe Burrow back when you're not winning out? Even with Burrow, you're not winning out. Why would you risk further injury or more severe injury to a guy that is your franchise cornerstone?
So I completely understand where you're coming from. And it's a really, really tough question. The only thing that sticks out to me in terms of whether or not this is even debatable is the fact that we're a little over halfway through the season. If this was, say, 4 or 3 games left in the season, I think this is a lot easier of a question. But like you said, they are 3-7, and so they're almost pretty much out, if not already out. They're going to be this is assuming that all the math plays out too. This is assuming that all the other stars align with all the funky math that we know can happen with getting to the playoffs. And so just the thought of benching your number one quarterback, who you're paying number one money for,
Yep,
because
over
you
a
think
million dollars.
he might be made of glass, is a little bit silly to me. And it kind of reminds me of the whole argument of like, oh, do you rest players? You know, if there's a meaningless game on in week 18 because you want to save for the playoffs. Well, functionally, there's no real difference. If you play Joe Burrow the next game of this season and he gets hurt, it's so different than playing him next season, home opener, 2026, and he tears his ACL and he's out for the year anyway. And so I think it's, while I can understand the injury argument, to me, I think it's really important to get him back into shape, get him into rotation, just get him playing football again, because you don't want to rest a guy like that half the year when he's kind of functionally healthy and he could otherwise play. You don't want to accumulate too much rust you don't need to.
I think that's fair. I think that's definitely fair, and I think that's the side that most people take. Is like you want to get him out there, get him reps, and all of that stuff. But you got to remember, you're also up against the New England Patriots team. And you're going to be without Jamar Chase. So not only are you're already struggling, and now you're going to be
Mhm.
without, you call it 1 and 1A top wide receivers in
Right.
football between him and Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
So it's T. Higgins, Yosivash, Gasecki, and what? Like still a shaky offensive line. Now you don't have your biggest weapon. I mean, I, and he's still questionable. They may not play him. You know what I mean? They might not. Um, but then if you are going to bring him back and you don't do it this week at home, you're going to bring him back at Baltimore with a Ravens team that is on a tear right now, getting more healthy as the season goes on,
Yeah.
and is likely to skyrocket right past Pittsburgh at some point, or are you going to bring him back at Buffalo? Like, that's not healthy either. I just,
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much resting a guy as it is protecting the investment. And, I don't like teams taking dives for draft picks, but let's face it, they all do it. And the Bengals have a shit ton of needs and could really use that top pick. Not that they ever do a good job with it, but at least you can sell your fans something. Like, I work out here. I live in Cincinnati, and pretty much everybody I work with is like, I don't understand why the hell we're even bringing him back. Like, they would rather have the draft pick at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a better argument. Honestly, I think if there is an argument to bench Burrow the rest of the year, I think it's because you just want to accept that it's a gone year and you just want to take the L, get the draft pick, improve draft capital. I just don't think you don't want to do stuff like this because of potential injury. As I heard it was a while ago, but Howard Eskin like saying like if you're worried about a player getting hurt, get a dog. If it happens, it happens.
That's fair.
So whether or not you're benching because you want to protect him for a wild card or a divisional game or next season, well, what if he gets injured then? Then what? So I think if you bench him for the draft, but don't bench him because you don't want to hurt him.
That's fair. So the other one, and this one should be fun for everyone, everyone outside of Kansas City, anyways. The Kansas City Chiefs are 5-5. Okay. And they are coming into a week where they are home for the Indianapolis Colts, who are 8-2. 5-5 with losses in their own conference to the Chargers, to the Jaguars, to the Bills and Broncos. A loss to Indianapolis, and it's totally on the table that the Kansas City Chiefs don't
Yeah.
make it. It is on the table with a Colts win this weekend, which means that we all are going to be rooting for Blues Clues and Jonathan Taylor. And, like I said, everyone outside of Kansas City. But think about that. Like the last, what is it, 7 years or whatever? The AFC Championship game has basically been the Arrowhead Invitational, right?
Yeah.
Imagine a postseason where there is no Chiefs, right? Like I don't know. It's hard to picture right now, but think about it. A Colts win this week. Now, granted, it's in Arrowhead, and the Chiefs have to treat this as if they have to treat it as a must win. They've got to treat
Yeah.
it like it's a playoff game. And when you factor those things in, I don't really expect the Chiefs to lose just because you're just so used to them winning these types of games. But if they lose this game, that's 5-6 with 5 losses in your conference, 2 in your own division. Like I said, and then after that, they're at Dallas, home for Houston, home for the Chargers, at Tennessee, home for Denver, at the Raiders. So there's a couple of easier ones in there. Houston can't score a whole lot, but we all saw what their defense did last night. One of the top defenses in football. The Chargers are not going to be a pushover. The Titans stink. The Raiders stink. The Broncos are going to be a pain in the ass. Anytime you have to go to Dallas, that we're about to go experience on Sunday, that's never an easy place to play.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about like a loss here, and it's not over yet, but baby, that fat lady's warming up.
Yeah, no, she definitely is. And when it comes to football, the real question is for good teams is when does your playoffs start? For a lot of teams, your playoffs start in December or even late November. It's when you say, okay, we can't lose any more games. Every game is the playoffs. And if we lose a single game, we're done. We're out. And our offseason starts in January. And so for the Chiefs, I think this is a very uncomfortable position for them because they didn't had to be like this in a very long time. When it comes to the Chiefs and very successful teams, the only thing you're really worried about is, well, okay, well, if we play extra hard in like week 16 and 17, maybe we could get like a second seed, maybe a first seed, but it's never like, do we make it at all? And so there's a lot of stress on the players, there's a lot of stress on the team. I remember 2016, I think it was, where the Packers are 4-6, and Aaron Rodgers says, "I think we run the table."
Relax.
And who was the first team? It was us. I went to that game. I'll never forget it. And for that Packers team, we were their wild card. We were the start of their playoffs because if they lost a single game, they were done. The Chiefs, I think they know that. I think you're right. I think that the Colts know that they're in a good position. They can afford to lose it. The Chiefs have their back against the wall. And so it just comes down to whether or not Indianapolis wants to completely knock them out of the race completely, or if this might be a trap game where Indianapolis might be looking ahead a little bit and they'd be like, you know what? If we beat them, hey, we're 9-2 now. That's pretty good. But if we lose, you know what? We're still 8-3 and we can move forward. I'm not saying that teams just, throw games because they throw games, but this is a much bigger win, much bigger must win for Kansas City, of course, than it is Indianapolis.
I can't imagine a team going to play the Chiefs, especially in Arrowhead, and thinking that they're going to look past them. Another thing to keep in mind is the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts is Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen was our offensive coordinator when we lost that Super Bowl to those Kansas City Chiefs just a couple of years ago. If you think he's not out for blood, like if he's got a chance to run that score up, he's going to run it up. Like he is going to keep that foot is going to stay on the gas pedal because he knows what happened in the second half of that Super Bowl. You're not going to fool him twice. Now, if you end up shutting down their offense, then you shut down their offense. And it's not like the Chiefs are incapable. But if Steichen has a chance to expose and go for blood, he is going to go for it. There is I don't think there's any question. They got the Chiefs, then they got the Texans after that, and then the Jaguars, right? So I don't see where any kind of trap game or they would look past anyone at this point. But at 8-2, you got Denver and New England at 9-2, and then Indy at 8-2, looking to go to 9-2 this week, which is just insane to me. One final point about the AFC and really the league overall before we get to the Birds. Then I want to go to the room and see what they're talking about. But
sure,
I dealt with, as much of our audience did, I dealt with the New England Patriots being at the top of the league for 20 years, 21 years. I was not ready for them to be good again. Okay. I was really, really just fine with them stinking for like a decade. Would have been okay with me. But here they are at 9-2. And Drake May looks like an MVP candidate. And Mike Vrabel looks like the coach of the year. And I like Mike Vrabel, but this is absolutely fucking nauseating to me. The fact that that team is right back at it again, I cannot stand it. Now, I do think it's a little skewed. They came into the league. I think it was the second easiest strength of schedule in all of football going into the season. I believe the 49ers had the quote unquote easiest, based on last year's records. So I think it is a little skewed. Miami is, and I know Lou from Dade, our good friend Lou Dominguez down there in Florida, in Miami, huge Dolphins fan. Shout out to them. But Miami's not a very good team. And the Jets are abysmal. So, you can kind of mail it in. Buffalo is a wildly unpredictable team at this point. I was not ready for New England to be back again. And it pisses me off, to be honest with you. I don't have a better way to put it. They annoyed me to no end for 20 years. And as they did everyone with Belichick and Brady. And I was just not prepared for the Patriots to be right back at it here again, sitting in that prime position to take that top spot and be on their way to another friggin' Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah, I mean, in the league, things happen very, very fast. I'll never forget what it felt like in 2017 to go from 2016 rookie wins, and then you go to 2017. You're like, this is another organization. I don't recognize anything about this team. Where did this come from? Carson was playing like MVP, and the defense was rounded into shape at the perfect. I mean, it was all unbelievable. To your point, though, I mean, it's semi unfair, but it's also very worth recognizing that they did have a very somewhat easy schedule. And I'm not a big guy who says like, oh, they're versing nobodies, and so therefore we can just disregard them. Because first of all, they can't control their opponents. So the way that you make it past that is, okay, well, if you're facing a bad team, you better demolish them. It better be a 20-point, 30-point victory. The thing is that so they start the year 1-2. They blow out the Panthers at home. Good. They lose to or they beat the Bills in Buffalo by 3, 1 point or one drive or one score, one possession game there, but whatever. They beat the Saints in New Orleans. All right. They beat the Titans. They beat the Titans in Tennessee. Nice. They blow out the Browns at home, and then it's a 1-point victory against the Falcons at home, which is a little suspect. They do beat the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay, one possession game, but nonetheless, Tampa's pretty good.
That's the signature cross conference win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the rest of this. The Raiders are terrible. The Dolphins are not good, and they lost to the Raiders to open the fucking season, right? And they lost to Pittsburgh 2 weeks later. They were 1-2.
They lost to the Raiders.
Yeah, to start the year. And they're 1-2 and have now won 8 games in a row against the Panthers at Buffalo. That's a good win.
Yeah.
At New Orleans, stink. At Tennessee, stink. Home for Cleveland, stink. Home for Atlanta, stink. At Tampa, good win. Home for the Jets, stink. Yep. Right? So their schedule is very, very light. Now they're going to be now they're at Cincinnati, stink. Then they're home for the Giants, stink. Then they get their bye week. Then they come out of the bye. They're home for Buffalo, at Baltimore. There's a good back-to-back week test. But then they finish up at the Jets and home for Miami. Like they could go ahead and lose to Buffalo and Baltimore, win the last 2, and still be 13-4. And like I said, it's nauseating. Like Lou from Dade, this is Lou Dominguez here. Mike Vrabel's a great coach, and May looks like a stud quarterback. It's the truth, and it's annoying. Lou, chime in, brother. Like Lou of all people in this room has to be completely disgusted with this whole situation. He's a Dolphins fan. You were so happy to see them out. The Patriots going to the crapper once Brady left, and now here they are. Lou would also like to call out the refs will definitely be rooting for the Chiefs. Fanny in the room. Where's she at here? There she is. Hey, cool kids. Watching my soap operas, waiting on food. I got 4 minutes left. Be right back. Danny's one of our Midwest Eagle Nest faithful. So is Dev. He was in here earlier. I haven't seen him in a few here. Lou again, reaping the benefits of a fourth place schedule. No one is going to want to play at New England in January. But perfectly stated. Who the hell wants to go to Foxborough, Massachusetts in January? If you've never been there, it is quite possibly the coldest place in the history of the universe. It's also a disaster to get in and out of there. There is one way in and one way out. That's it. Like, it is a complete shit show getting in and out of there.
Wow.
So, but that was what I had for the AFC. Figure, the Burrow thing, the Chiefs on the brink, and the disgust at these New England Patriots who just refuse to just stay down for a little while. It's annoying, dude. You'll never convince me that our Birds team in 04 wasn't better. We were more talented, significantly, and got outcoached. And of course, McNabb had a massive hangover, so that didn't help either. And T.O. had pins holding his leg together. Got it. Although
he had a broken leg, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Let's get on to the Birds. No fucking around here. So, it feels a lot like a Jekyll and Hyde offense, dude. 33 points against the Rams, 31 points against the Bucks. Then back-to-back weeks, only scoring 17 against Denver, good defense, and the freaking Giants, which is the most embarrassing loss on the planet right now. Then we come back out of it, put up 28 against Minnesota. Pass game looks great. Put up 38 against the Giants a week later. The run game looks great. Get your bye week, and we talked about it, Mason. You had that bye week coming off of 2 nice wins where your offense looked like it was a little bit better. Things look like they were starting to turn. You go into your bye week. You're expecting to see this team come out of that bye week with some nice adjustments, nice tweaks, a little bit more creativity. And you come out and you score 26 points in 8 quarters against the Packers and the Lions. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like the Packers and Lions have these awful defenses where you're up against the Bengals and shit. But my God, 26 points in 2 weeks? With all of that talent on the offensive side of the ball, albeit with some injuries to the offensive line. I completely understand that. I'm at a loss at this point. I put last week, I did that bold thing, 30-20. Yeah. The 2 teams score 30. So, we always say win is a win. But, oh, man. Thank God for the defense is all I'll say. But this offense is atrocious. And I say it all the time about Jalen Hurts in the middle of the field, but it almost feels like the play calling to try to design something there has just completely been abandoned. And it's allowing these teams to just defend the outside the numbers and stack the box and come after you. And they're not changing anything. They're asking Jalen Hurts to just be a drop back passer, and it's just not who he is. I know I've been beating that like a dead horse for weeks now, but nothing's changed. It all continues to be the same exact outcome every week. Jalen drops back. You see him go through progressions. He can't find anything there. Yep. So he rolls out, and then he's just take off, or he's going to throw it away, or it's some last-second toss, and you hold your breath. That's why the shirt says EKGLES, freaking heart monitor underneath of it. I had those put in a couple, last year when every weekend is a series of mini heart attacks, and nothing's changed. And then you see all this crap. I don't know if it's AI generated, but there's all these posts about Patullo being a head coach candidate. I'm like, no. How is anyone looking at this offense be like, damn, I got to hire that guy? Can't wait to get him the hell out of here. Go for it.
Well, I for one think that Kevin Patullo is a fantastic coach. I think any team would be more than lucky to have him. So he gets my letter of recommendation there. Anyway, when it comes to the game on Sunday, much of my skepticism regarding this offense remains to be somewhat on point and consistent here in terms of this offense remains to not have disproven the assertion that they play to the level of their opponent. And maybe that's because this defense has held somewhat stacked offenses to very little points. And the offense just kind of stalemates, and then the defense ends up winning the game at the end when the clock hits zero.
Crunch time. Yep.
This defense against the Lions was, miles ahead of the defense that was even last week. And last week's defense was incredible too.
I think
do we have the sacks?
Bailed out by Dan Campbell and his 0 for 5 on 4th downs.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. If you were, the league really should count that as turnovers, because if it did, we would have just absolutely demolished the time of possession there. Not the time of possession, but the turnover ratio. Because we stopped them on 4th down in their territory. I mean, it had to be like, what, 4 or 5 times? It was unbelievable. 5 times. It was unbelievable.
They were 0 for 5 on 4th down. He went for it. Yep.
And I don't know if we scored on more than 1 or 2 of those, which is absolutely tragic. And that in and of itself is a problem.
You're thinking we scored. We didn't score a whole lot.
No, we did not. But when I'm looking at the stats for that game, they're honestly still pretty close. We really had the same amount of first downs. We just had 3 more just due to sheer penalties. We had 9 more plays than they did. Yards per play, they had 1.5 yards on us. We had the same number of drives. We had, first of all, almost 11 minutes of
11 and a half minutes. 11 and a half.
That's a murder. That's a murder, by the way. That's murder. And then, so I look at the stats between, Hurts and Goff. So Hurts, for example, had a QBR of 34, 50's average. It goes from 0 to 100. That's not good.
Mm-hmm. No.
Passer rating is 63. His average was 48, 4.8. But likely for him, there was someone that was worse, and that happened to be on the Lions. You had Jared Goff. His QBR was single digits, 9.4. His average was 6.9. But we didn't have the sacks, like I said before, but we had the hits. We had pressure. I mean, Jalen Phillips is turning into an absolute maniac, and he's helping the entire offensive pick. 100%. He was worth a 2nd-round pick, and if he keeps up, it'd be a 1st-round pick. Saquon has 26 for 83, 3.2 average. He's still not really in the same aura that he was in last year, but when I was watching a broadcast on Fox, I believe it was, and they're talking about, they asked Barry Sanders, about what happens when you have one good year and then the next year he goes, well, teams kind of hyper focus on you. Yeah. But
well played.
The beginning of that game, that the way that our offense played was some of the least inspiring, least innovative, least exciting offense I've seen since I think probably the entire year. I mean, at least at Green Bay, you have a few drives where you go all the way down the field, Jalen has a fumble, and everything looks different. There wasn't a single drive really where you're man, that was what, there's a glimmer. There's like a glimpse, a flash. No, the only reason why we scored is because the Lions just kept on fucking up, and they couldn't get it going. And Cooper comes up with the pick, but it's only because of the deflection.
Fanny's got to go. Just curious, what was Hurts' average time to throw in that game? And Fanny, you're kind of making my point for me by asking
gets you that.
Mason's going to go ahead and grab that stat. I don't think he had an incredible amount of time, but you're kind of making my point for me as far as the offense goes and the play calling goes. I don't get the sense that they're scheming things for him to make it easier for him to throw over the middle. And if you just abandon that part of the field, you open it up for the opposing defense to then defend the only spot where you're throwing and where you're comfortable, which we all know Jalen is far more comfortable outside the hash marks and outside the numbers. You also allow them to aggressively come after your run game and the quarterback. And they're just not, it's not clicking. Jalen throws well. The only throws I see him make somewhere near the hash marks right now is when the defense is backed up in a soft zone and like a Goddard or somebody finds that soft spot and just sits down, right? So it's a nice, easy pitch and catch. And good on Jalen for spotting it and making that good throw. But we need him to be able to hit receivers as there's that traffic, that crossing, the tighter windows. And he's just not seeing it, or they're not calling plays that put him in a position to succeed in those situations. So again, if you don't do anything about that, then you're allowing the defense to just say, I'm just going to defend out here. We'll deal with what's ever going on in the middle if he makes that connection, but we're going to go ahead and risk it that he's not going to. We're going to take away the outside. We're going to bracket AJ. They've been doing it all year long. And we're going to stack the box and make sure Saquon doesn't kill us. And that recipe has worked for pretty much every single defense this year. And it has worked for the Packers and the Lions over the last 2 weeks. And I don't, coming out of that bye, I was really hoping to see something better, and it's not happening. And now you're at a point where, adjustment time is over. You're not there anymore. You're at Dallas this weekend. Now, look, you go ahead and beat Dallas and beat Chicago, and you are literally in the driver's seat at that point, right? We've already got wins over the Rams, over the Bucks, over the Packers. You go ahead and get that win over the Cowboys. Not that they're a threat to the division or anything, but it's an NFC win. It's an NFC East win. We cannot clinch this weekend, much to everyone's chagrin. That can't happen mathematically. It's impossible, even with a victory. We need to beat Dallas, and then I think we need Dallas to lose on Thanksgiving and us to win on Black Friday. And that's the earliest we can clinch. That's what we all hope for. But your adjustment time is over. You got to go win these 2 games. Then you're at the Chargers. If you're going to dump one, that's the game to dump, right? Like, that's the one. Because that one doesn't affect a whole lot going on NFC-wise. You don't want to dump any, but if you're going to lay an egg, you lay it in that one. Then you got the Raiders, who stink. Washington now stinks. So we're getting some gifts here, right? Jaden Daniels hasn't been healthy all year long. And without a healthy Daniels, the commodes are getting flushed. This is the best way I can put it. And you got Buffalo in between, who, now with New England taking off, that game is going to, matter to Buffalo. I was hoping it wouldn't, but it's going to. So your adjustment time, Fanny, back to your point, it's gone. You don't have, you've got 4 days throughout the week to get your playbook in. And then you're kind of already, your coaching staff is calling plays for that week and focused on the following week's opponent. Mason, what do you got for time of for the pocket?
So unfortunately, it looks like the average time to throw is not yet publicly available just yet, which sucks. But it typically takes about in my experience, when it comes to kind of hunting down statistics, it can sometimes take a couple days, even a week, for that kind of stuff to get out or get out in that way. But no, it's a fantastic point though, in terms of being able to kind of diagnose specifically what exactly is going on there. If you have better luck than I do, definitely let me know.
Yeah, but, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, I'm completely on board with what you're going on there with, and the offense, like I said a little bit before, it does seem like we're kind of playing to our opponents a little bit, which is very frustrating, and that it's a double-edged sword, which means that you can keep up with teams, but if we keep on having to rely on our defense, of course, and to keep on playing this red hot level of defense, I want to hope and say that it's a historically great defense, but the problem is that historically great defenses don't happen in 2 weeks. They happen over a stretch of an entire season. And so we can have a historically great defense for 1, 2, 3, 4 games, maybe, but that happens all the time. But I don't know if this is a defense that we can expect to see that from going into deep into December, but into January, into February, hopefully. So This
I would
offense
tell
is
you,
offensive.
I would tell you, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult this weekend. You've got Pickens and CeeDee Lamb to deal with. You got Dak, who can't stand us. Dak, who has been incredibly successful against us at home. Dak, who has been incredibly successful against the NFC East in his career. The defense has been amazing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, you're looking at a defense that has not given up. It's given up less than 20 points now 3 times this year, 20 points 2
Yep.
other times, and under 25 points overall. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times if you include the one game against Tampa where they actually did score 25. So 8 of the 10 games we've given up 25 points or less. Problem is this offense is all over the place. You just don't have it. There's no they don't have an identity at all. They don't know what the fuck they are right now. And it's obnoxious. Look, passing yards wise, we have gone under 150 yards passing. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Under 200 yards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Under 200 yards passing in a passing league with those 2 wide receivers. To your point, and to the point I think everyone's been trying to make, including A.J. Brown standing at his locker, we can't keep relying on the defense to just bail us out every single week. You're going to get bit, right? And I don't care for the lack of offense up against a Dallas team that can score. Now, I said the same kind of thing against Detroit, where it's like, we're going to have to score points because that team's not going to get held down. And then we only went out there and only gave up 9 points. But
yeah,
man, oh man, it just feels like you're teetering on it if you don't figure this out.
No, 100%. And I mean, you were vindicated again this week when you said that whenever we kind of go up against teams that have kind of dual threats, it's not the number 1 you have to watch, it's the number 2. And Amon-Ra, I mean, Quinyon was absolutely stellar against Amon-Ra. Jameis and Williams is a different story. We don't talk about that. But going forward, I mean, it's probably going to be more of the same, where it's going to be CeeDee. CeeDee probably has like 5 catches for maybe like 60 yards, but Pickens might have 8 for 144. And we're like, who the fuck's covered that guy? It's the rest of the defense. That's who. And so it's going to come down to the fact that, hey, the first time we versed Dallas, we didn't have Carter playing a full game. We also didn't have Jalen Phillips
Carter play at all.
Right. No, exactly. He didn't even play in the kickoff now. Yeah. But
he was in the game for 6 seconds.
Not even, but yeah, so we have Carter playing the whole game. We're gonna have Phillips playing, and Phillips the past 2 games have played better than I think he may have played better in the last 2 games than any defensive player has in the last 2 games, or even the whole season. I mean, he's been absolutely phenomenal.
He's been a stud. Absolute stud.
This is a defense that is different from the beginning of the year. It is matured, it is developed, it has been honed. It's more lethal. We're getting to the quarterback more. We're not getting sacks, but we're getting pressures. And if we're not hitting them, we're deflecting passes. And if we're deflecting passes, and Cooper DeJean has to pick against the Lions. So this defense finds a way to win. I still am waiting for the offense to prove to me that they're not just playing down to the level of their competition, because we've only literally had 1 game the entire year that we actually blew a team out or were blown out. And that's it. We blew out the Giants kind of because we had to. And then we got blown out by the Giants because we just got caught with our pants down. But every other game, I mean, the Rams, of course, was the comeback, but every other game was neck and neck. I mean, the Broncos had a little bit of the comeback, but
listen up, fellas. I'm going to load up my Tecmo Bowl offensive playbook and get this taken care of. Fanny again, Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith were not there either.
Yep.
Very good
That's
points.
a great point.
Everybody knows that I was chomping at the bit for Nolan Smith to get back on the field. Why? Because of that edge rush. We
He's a
are going to
fast
live
boy.
and die on the pressure from the outside to make that quarterback have to move up into the pocket. When that quarterback has to move up, where does he find himself? Into the loving arms of the law firm of Carter and Davis, right? Jared Goff found out the hard way is not where you want to be. And Jared Goff, as great as he can be if he settles in, and if you can't rattle him early and he settles in, you are in trouble. But if you can rattle his cage early, he is erratic all game long, and the Eagles knocked him around all night long. They were in his face. All those swatted down passes. Jordan Davis was again a monster. I mean, he only hits the stat sheet for 1 tackle, but 3 passes knocked down, right?
Yeah.
That's at the defensive line. I mean, that's just absolutely huge. Jalen Carter, 5 tackles, 2 passes knocked down. We hit Goff 2, 4,
7 times?
7 times, 7 times, sacked him twice. I mean, and he was pressured all night long, and he can't handle that. The other thing I would tell you, Dak Prescott is a lot that same way. Now, he's a little bit harder to rattle because he's a bigger, stronger dude, but he will get footsteps as well and start making erratic throws. I have long said that he is nothing but a continuation of Tony Romo. I just don't see that there's a massive difference between the two of them. Oh, they like to throw the ball around. They were both capable of it. But when those lights turned up bright, the pressure was on, and they're facing the rough defense. They fold up like a cheap fucking suit.
Yeah. To kind of put a kind of a bow on that regarding the defense. I was curious about the defensive statistics and advance, all that kind of stuff. Do you know where we rank in terms of like blitz rates in the league? Are you aware of like where
we have to be at the bottom? He doesn't blitz. We have to be
second lowest. Second lowest. Second
Now,
lowest, and we're still rattling these guys.
Because we always send 4, which means it's not a blitz, but a lot of times one of those is not on the end, not on the line. He'll drop the end out, the edge out, and rush Bond, rush Dean, send Cooper. That's how Vic does it. So they're not blitzes, but you don't ever know where that 4th rusher is coming from. And that's how he gets it done. And then, of course, once the quarterback starts to scramble, starts to get flustered, now everybody goes into bloodthirsty mode. And run up and try to smash, and all that goes down. Another nice game from Makuba, I think, on Sunday night. Look, that edge rush position that looked like a problem just a few weeks ago. Looked weak, looked shallow, not a whole lot of depth.
Yeah.
Now, with Nolan Smith back, with Jelix Hunt playing much better football. Nakobe Dean comes back on the field. Now Jihad Campbell can help in both areas. You bring BG back out there for a handful of plays every night. It is now a spot. It's now, again, a strength of this. And then Jalen Phillips, the addition of Phillips. It's now a very deep rotation threat again, along with those monstrous tackles. And let's not sleep on Ojimo, who's had himself a nice couple of weeks here. Somebody's got to spell Carter or Davis for a play or two. I'm fine. I'm good. I miss Milton Williams, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't paying Milton Williams $26 million a year. That's insane.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Yeah. Ditto, 100%.
All right.
100%.
Let's move on from Detroit. There wasn't much to write home about. The offense is still frustrating. Defense was amazing. I mean, if you want to call out anything else with the defense here, Cooper. I mean, we batted down 10 Jared Goff passes on
10.
10. 2 by Cooper, 2 by Jalen Carter, 1 by Adoree Jackson, 3 by Jordan Davis, and 2 by Quinton Mitchell. That's getting it done. So even when this kid had a little bit of daylight to throw that ball, we weren't giving him anything, dude. To your point, that CB2 spot, when you look at Jamison Williams, 4 catches, 88 yards, touchdown. A lot of that one big play was 40 fucking yards. But that's always going to be the problem for me, is that wide receiver 2. I will say Adoree Jackson actually looked really solid in his man-to-man, even when he was lined up across from St. Brown. The Eagles did a great job with Amon-Ra St.
Oh
Brown
yeah,
on Sunday night. Just took him away, right? Like he had, what did he end up with?
I
3
only really
catches for
noticed like
42
one or
yards.
two. Okay, because I only really
3 for
noticed a handful of targets. I just know I just remember whenever I think of Amon Ra from that game, I just always envision Quinyon just kind of blanketing him and just on
and he
him,
did.
just deflecting and everything like that. So,
So,
I mean, we've
Amon-Ra
been
St.
shutting
Brown
down. Go ahead.
had 2 catches for 42 yards. One of them 34 yards. So the other catch is only 8 yards on 12 targets.
That's what it was. Yep.
12 targets. He only had 2 catches. I would love to know the last time that looked like that with Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Where he's targeting, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is a stud wide receiver, no question.
Top 5 probably. Yeah.
You trying to tell me you went to him 12 times and only completed 2 of them? Again, the defense, unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to why everybody's here. It's Kill the Cowboys week. We all know it. It's one of our favorite weeks. Twice we get this every year. Twice we enjoy it leading up to it. But also twice we go into it and we hold our breath, right? I don't think Dallas is a very good team. The addition of Quinnen Williams is annoying. I will tell you that. It puts a really good defensive tackle into an area on the field that Patullo seems to like to just say, "Here, Saquon, try to get through there." And now you're going to have to deal with Patullo with Quinnen Williams in there, so that's not good. But overall, I don't think Dallas is a very good team. I think they can score, but I also thought Detroit could score. So I will stick with the same thing that I've been going with. I think Pickens is the bigger problem because I think Quinion cancels out CeeDee Lamb. All right. We all know we play a lot of zone behind the rush, so it's not like this is all man-to-man coverage here. But we do a good job with it, in particular against that wide receiver 1. It's that wide receiver 2 that seems to devour us every week. Jordan Addison had the big game. We also saw Jameson Williams on Sunday night. Now we're going to get George Pickens. So what I'm hoping for is what we saw Sunday night is a sign, maybe a turning the corner a bit for Adoree Jackson, and that maybe he's finally the guy that's going to step up and just say, "This is my position. I've got it locked down. This is what I'm doing." Because it's been desperately needed. We've tried, you go in and out with Ringo and Jackson, and you wanted to see Ja'Cory and Bennett get some snaps there. It hasn't worked out because he's been hurt a whole bunch. But the pressure up front will obviously dictate how much pass offense they're allowed to get. I would watch out for Javonte Williams coming out of the backfield, but I got to be honest with you, man. We held Jahmyr Gibbs to all of his shit came on receptions. Those were not rushes that he was killing us with. I am not overly concerned with a rushing attack against our front. It's that wide receiver 2, and then maybe the tight end a little bit, but I expect our defense to continue to get pressure. I expect the Cowboys to score more than Detroit did. So I do think our offense is going to have to figure it out better than they've had the last couple of weeks. But I think you could have said that if we were playing against anybody.
Yeah, well, I for one am very worried about Quinnen Williams because we haven't seen this team win without a bustling, robust, threatening run game all season, and so I'm really scared to have Barkley shut down because as we haven't had a run game all year, so I don't think Quinnen Williams had a large impact. But no, whenever we kind of verse these duo receiver teams, we often end up sacrificing everything to stop the number 1 guy, which for Jefferson and for Amon-Ra worked out really well. And then we just have to be like, okay, we just hope that the second guy doesn't kill us too bad, send the bleeding that way. And as long as you can just get pressure on the quarterback, you become a nuisance on defensive line with deflections, and you just hit him a few times. You don't need to get 5 sacks. You can get 2 sacks, but if you hit him, like you said, 10 times, just hit him. Have him thinking about it. Pressure alone will do the trick. And that's exactly what this defensive line has excelled with, this, at least post bye week. Dallas is always a test, though, because when it comes to divisional games, I mean, the rule of any given Sunday is like multiplied with divisional games. You either blow them out or you get blown out. Even if they're the worst team in the league, there's always a chance you lose to your divisional opponents. And so, in that sense, it's really hard to always blanket, be like, you know what, these guys are predictable. We're going to do this. I'm still holding out regarding saying that this offense is this or that. I want them to disprove the notion that they just played their competition. And
They played
until they
against
do
shitty
so,
defense this weekend. The Dallas defense stinks. Okay, addition of Quinn Williams definitely helps, but they are still not a good defense. They're not. They were the second worst defense in football, bested in that category only by the Cincinnati Bengals. So Williams helps, but he doesn't put them, they went and traded for Logan Wilson. But where did they get Logan from? From the worst defense in football, the Bengals. Like, dude, so these two guys probably help them. Obviously, Quinnen does, but it doesn't make them a good defense. It doesn't even make them league average. If you can't go out and score against it, now I'll tell you, Detroit's defense is good. Green Bay's defense is good. Right? So if you're going to get held down a bit, you don't mind it as much against them. You come out against the Cowboys again and only score 20 points.
Yeah.
It starts to become the frustration level starts to really go through the roof, from your AJ Browns, from your Philadelphia sports media. That it's just, I think that sometimes they want to poison the team. I mean, you live out there, so you know what the hell I'm talking about.
I know it all too well.
Yeah, I find it obnoxious. Why are you trying to add vitriol? Can't you just be happy that this team is still 8-2? That this team is still at the top of the conference with wins in the next 2 weeks will be 1,000% in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed? I mean, come on. Christ, all right. Sorry, I'm going to get off my soapbox with that.
The one thing about Philadelphia fans is that while we are incredibly passionate, we're also always not the most let's say not logical or reasonable, but not the most grounded in terms of we are very hot and cold. And so even if we're in the conference and we're up by 20 points, we'll always find a way to boo Nick Sirianni.
No question about it.
That aside, though, the reason why I don't really value the quality of the opposing defense is that the entire season, the problem hasn't been that we've been shut down. The problem is that we don't show up at all. It's self-inflicted as the issue.
I agree.
And so do the Cowboys have a god-awful defense? Maybe. I don't know, because we won't play against them either. The Lions had a good defense, and it looked the exact same as it did all the rest of the season. And so the problem with the offense isn't that we're versing great defenses. The problem with the offense is that we don't do anything. We just don't. It's the least inspiring, least coordinated, least exciting, least infusing of least energetic offense I've ever seen in my life. And there's no glimpses. This is the first game I can vividly recall all season that there wasn't even a glimpse of something working. Not even a little bit. We couldn't get out of our own territory. Cowboys. We had to rely on them fucking up in order to get into their territory in the first place.
The Dallas Cowboys give up 29.3 points per game. That is the second worst defense in football, too. Only the Cincinnati Bengals who give up 33.4 points per game. That is fucking brutal.
Well, we're about to help them out a little bit.
The Dallas Cowboys average giving up 381 yards per game. 381 yards per game overall. That is the third worst in football. The passing side, they give up 250 yards a game. Third worst in football. And rushing, they give up 131, which is, what is that? 32, 21, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24th in the league. They stink. The defense is awful. To your point, I agree. Like if you can't score and rack up yards against this mess, Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson be damned. I don't know what that does for the rest of the season. To be honest, our schedule is not difficult down the stretch. Chicago is going to be more of a problem than I think anybody anticipated. All right. I mean, look, I'm not saying they're going to be an overall problem. I'm saying they're going to be more of a problem than we thought they were going to be. Right? They're better than we thought.
Yeah.
And they are. Like, there's no way to deny it. They are better than anyone really thought. I didn't have a whole lot of faith in Caleb Williams, and I still really don't. But Dallas stinks. Chicago's much better than we thought. The Chargers at home, they don't really have a home presence, but we still have to fly all the way out to LA. Then you're home for the Raiders, who stink. Washington's no good. They may mail it in. At Buffalo and then Washington again. You know, you want to talk about in the driver's seat. You look at these teams at the top of the NFC. I'm pretty sure we've got the, and I'll do the air quotes, easiest way out, easiest path to that one seed. But you got to get this one and the one against Chicago, or that starts to turn. It starts to change. This game's massively important, despite the fact that Dallas is really not a threat to us division or playoff wise. This game's very, very important. It's an NFC win. It's an NFC East win. There's folks out here are already talking about one seed, which I get, but you can't get that without winning the division first. Division first, seeding second. That's the way it works, people.
Yeah. So it really, this game is really big, but kind of for the reasons that are kind of a little bit to the side a little bit. This is like something has to give here. You just looked out the stats of how bad their defense is, but the problem is that our offense is equally as bad. And so this is going to be like the immovable force meets the unstoppable object. And so something has to give here. Either we explode or we improve their defensive metrics and just completely lay an egg. I'm going to vote for the latter there a little bit more because, like I said, the whole year, the problem hasn't been personnel. It hasn't been us being like really matched up close with the defense. It's been we just don't seem to try. We don't seem to coordinate. We're not together. We seem unorganized, unplanned. That's the problem. It's not that we're versing great defenses. And so as long as the problems and the issues are self-inflicted, nothing externally, no external change is going to change that. So until they right the ship, every single game I'm afraid is going to be like this until something sees differently. But and that's not going to be good for Eagles fans health-wise, but doctors are going to see a lot more high blood pressure.
Yeah, a lot of cardiologists are busy. Are still in business because of our fan base. Fanny has another point here. Tank runs more side to side as RB2 and averages more yards per carry, which I don't understand why Barkley doesn't run that way as RB1. Running north and south is not working for Saquon. Okay, Fanny, you're also looking at a lot of plays from Tank that are passing downs. There is that aspect. He's got more room to move around. The defense is not as afraid of Tank Bigsby as they are of Saquon Barkley. You see number 37 come in the game. They're likely to back off a little bit and take their chances that he's not going to tear them apart. Now, to his credit, he has taken full advantage of that, and I love him as my RB2. But this is not a stylistic thing so much as it is a play calling and defense alignment versus who is in the backfield rather than, like I said, rather than the stylistic of the two. I think Saquon would love to get to the outside. And against Dallas, he's probably going to have to because Quinnen is a monster in the middle and he's going to hog up a lot of space. You've got to find a way to get him to the outside. And unfortunately, without Lane Johnson there, I love Fred, but he ain't Lane. And so you're probably looking at a lot of heading towards Jordan Mailata and trying to pull in that direction. I get your point, Fanny. The yards per carry can be frustrating. We all saw what Saquon did last year. We all know what Saquon's capable of. He is the far more talented back. Don't let that one stat skew it. Tank has taken full advantage of the opportunities in front of him, but again, this is much more a play design and personnel, Saquon versus Tank, and what the defense is doing when they see that, as opposed to the style of the run of the runner.
I would mostly agree to that. I think your point in terms of the conditions and when they're getting their carries is really good. You'd be surprised what the yards per carry is when you run it on 3rd and 15 versus a 3rd and 1. There's a stark difference there. But I think the point of Saquon having more success running east-west rather than north-south is 100% correct. And neck falls on Kevin Patullo, not putting him in that situation.
Agreed.
Not having him, not scheming him in that way. It's a complete failure on the offensive coordinator to coordinate the offense in that manner. Of course, Tank Bigsby has been remarkably
excellent.
I mean, we traded a bag of chips and a few balls for him, and he's been probably one of the best running back twos, probably elsewhere in the league. To be honest with you, he's a perfect kind of a complement to Saquon. So we're very blessed to have him. It's a different Saquon because it's a different offense. It's a different offense, and it's self-inflicted. For some reason we choose to be like this, and it's every single week it's becoming blaringly obvious that the problem is not external, the problem is internal. And each week that we go through and we see the defense show out and then we see the offense shut up is staggering, and something that's going to have to change. I'm not sure if that means that Sirianni takes back play calling duties because
time out. We've all seen what that was like.
Listen, at least I don't know. We might get a first down. We might get a first down
to begin with. I think Nick Sirianni has his hands in that offense too much to begin with. I do.
Really?
It looks a lot like first half of 2021 and all of 2023, and that had a lot of Nick influence in it. And this would prove it out. Patullo has been under Nick the entire time Nick has been the head coach in Philly. I think he meddles too much in it when it's Brian Johnson, right? That didn't work. If you go back and look, you see there's a lot of similarities in the result of plays. First half of 21, all of 23, and what's been going on this year. From a passing and running perspective, the best time we've ever had was Steichen and Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
When Nick was out of it, not calling plays, he's the head coach, so he's somewhat involved, but limited.
Mm-hmm.
I got Fanny again here. Which lesser of the two evils would you rather have, weak offense or weak defense, is the big question for right now. I disagree. I don't think we should settle for either. I think there's far too much talent on the offensive side. That's where all of our money's being spent. The only change, and this is something Mason and I have been banging the drum about, as I'm sure a lot of you have, the only change has been the offensive coordinator. I don't think we should accept either of those two things. Thank God for Vic Fangio and this young, wildly talented defense. But I'm not taking a pick of which I would rather have. I need the offense to start matching what the fuck the defense is doing. I've had enough, and it's bullshit.
Defense wins championships. When Seattle won the Super Bowl, in 2013, they didn't have a very prolific offense. They pretty much had like a pretty middle of the road offense, and I mean the 2013 Seattle defense was just unbelievable.
Unreal.
And they won through there. So
this is a different league now, though.
This is 100% a different league, but
that was 10 years ago.
Defense does win championships still. I don't think we've grown out of that. And so as long as we can defense is in a very unique position where not only can they directly stop the opponent, but they can score points themselves in a way that the offense really can't. And so, the offense can have long sustained drives. They can have a 15-play drive, they have the whole quarter and just completely own time possession. But if you only kick field goals and your opponent scores touchdowns, you're going to lose that game. But if you have a shutdown defense that kind of Yeah.
I am not here advocating for a weak defense versus a weak offense. What I'm saying is the offense is already weak. The question to me isn't picking which one I'd rather to be weak. It's I need the offense to match what my defense is doing because the fucking talent is there. Right?
Oh no, I
Defense is
100%,
crazy
yeah.
talented and it's there. The offense is crazy talented and we're not getting what we need from it. And that's what has to change. I'm not picking which one I'd rather to be weak. No, the roster construction is perfect. Coaches and these players have to go figure it out on the offensive side of the ball. That's it.
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. And ideally, I'm right there with you. I mean, there is really no excuse for either side of the ball to have a lot of problems. But historically, when we look at, I think when you look at it from the point of view that I'm really grateful that we have a bad offense and a great defense rather than having a great offense and a bad defense. Because in those situations, well, you have to in a sense.
You should. You're settling. No, you should demand more. You should be just like me, screaming, yelling, demanding more.
Ideally, both play well. And like I said, it's not external issues, they're internal issues. So we know so far as that. So like I said earlier in the show, it's a self-inflicted issue, which means that we could choose to be different, we could choose to be more successful, but we just simply do not. But I still don't think that changes the fact that you're always in a much better situation when you have your defense figured out and your offense is still stuttering versus your offense is figured out and your defense is still stuttering. So I think we are blessed in that sense, and we should be grateful. But I mean, I don't think that we should settle for anything bad. But man, I think I'm a lot more grateful that our offense is bad than our defense, because having a great historic defense is going to get you a lot farther than having a historic offense. If you don't believe me, just ask the Broncos in 2013.
Well, ask the Giants in 2000.
Yeah.
They went up against that 2000 Ravens team who had Trent Dilfer as their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
That season proved out. Now, granted, that's 25 years ago, so that was a much different league, right? Legion of Boom, 10 years ago, much different league. But it proved out that Baltimore Ravens defense, it basically proved out if they scored 11 points, they won the football game.
Yeah.
For the entire year. That was nuts, right? So yes, defense. Dude,
right now, if we had just scored 10, we scored 10 points against the Packers and won. If we had just scored 10 points against the Lions, we also win.
Yeah, but that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable in today's NFL. It's sustainable 15, 20 years ago. It's not sustainable now. It's just not. They won't. Sooner or later, somebody's gonna figure it out. The rules and everything are too much geared towards offense to think that this is going to be able to be sustainable, not just for the rest of the regular season, but then going into a playoff run too. Sooner or later, you're gonna get bit playing like this.
I definitely think that it's changed 100%, but I also do just want to remind everyone that before we kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit, we had held the Chiefs to 6 points in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And if we had kept trying and really put our foot on their necks, they might score another field goal, maybe. And they scored 9 points. And so we've seen a defense that is absolutely shut down. And I don't want to win every game 10-7, 13-7, 16-9. I don't want that to happen, but I would rather have a shutdown defense and do it this way than have a shootout offense. And each game is just fireworks. And we're just hoping that we're the one who has the ball last versus having a defense.
Yeah, no, I'm not coming out playing like the Bengals and the Cowboys do. No chance. What I'm saying is there's too much talent on the offensive side of the ball where that sort of thing needs to be a decision that fans have to look at. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I don't entertain the question. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that there's a fan out there, Fanny, who feels like that's a thing. There's too much fucking talent on that offensive side of the ball for any of us to have to feel that way. It's bullshit, and they need to go figure. Like, look, we've beat it to death for over an hour now. This Dallas defense is awful. You can't figure it out against an awful defense. You're not going to figure it out. And then this is just going to be what we are. And you're just going to hold on for dear life every week. And I can tell you something, brother. At 46 and a half years old, this is not helpful.
Yeah, definitely hear that. Definitely hear that. But I think just final kind of statement regarding the whole question. I take your point, and I think that we largely agree, actually, that ideally, this isn't a problem. This shouldn't be a problem. Personnel-wise, it isn't a problem. But when it comes to how often do teams that win Super Bowls have a really good offense and a really good defense, it's not very often. And so
that happened last year.
It did happen last year, and that was an exception. We were quite the exceptional team. But usually it's a good solid defense, at least a solid defense that helps a team get there. And this defense is miles above solid. I mean, it's
great.
Been historically great for just the past 2 weeks. The only real question is how long can you sustain that? And that's what we've been saying for the past 4 weeks. That's what Brown has been saying for the whole season is I don't think the defense is going to change drastically from week to week. But man, you're really going to be lucky if you keep on doing this and it works out. It's not sustainable insofar as you're not going to win like this forever. But if this had happened on the wild card, then I'd feel a little bit better because it's really easy to be historically great for 4 games than it is to be historically great for 12.
Yes,
and so if I think that we're all just worried that this defense is a little bit of a flash, a little bit, and we might come back to earth a little bit. But until then,
I don't think they're
offense and it's self-inflicted.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't think they're a flash. I think they are this talented. To think that they're going to sustain this level of play is probably far-fetched, right?
No.
Like, I bitched before that we'd only scored 26 points the last 2 weeks. We've only given up 13.
Right.
Over a 2-week stretch against 2 teams that can score a shitload of points, in particular the Lions, who came into that game, I think, averaging 30.4 points per game. And we hold them to 6. Like, that was nuts. So to think that level is sustainable is probably, you're probably fooling yourself. But they don't, I don't think they get, I don't think it goes from this to an average defense, right? I think it goes from this.
Yeah.
I think it goes from this to you're still a top defense. You're just not giving up only 6.5 points a game. That's really not sustainable in today's NFL.
I think our floor is like top 10. Our floor is top 10, but our ceiling is top 3, maybe number 1.
Absolutely. So we got Russ Taylor. This is what I think. 1993. You live by Mitch, you die by Mitch. 93 World Series. They can't play like this and expect to keep winning. Well, so let's just hang on here. Just to take that analogy for what it's worth. So, and I'm going to pull it up here because I'm a smartass. 1993 World Series. So, where is my baseball reference? Here it is. We're going to go down here. Game, there it is. Fucking Blue Jays. Where is it? Where is the pitch by pitch? Bottom of the second, bottom of the ninth. Okay. So, to go with, I know it's Joe Carter. I know who it is. I know who hits the homer. But to your analogy, you'll live by Mitch, die by Mitch, and I totally understand it. But let's take a look at who Mitch Williams had to face in the bottom of the ninth inning in that World Series. Ricky Henderson, Hall of Famer. Devin White, really solid ball player. Paul Molitor, I can't remember if he's in the Hall or not. And Joe Carter, who is borderline. The Blue Jays were just better. Here's what I'll say about the Philadelphia Eagles. There is not a time when I go into a game and think that the other team is better. That never crosses my mind with the way this team is currently constructed. There is never a time when I look at a game, you might look at position by position, somebody might have an advantage, But overall, there is over the last couple of years, I have never gone
Right.
into a week and been like, we're in trouble because that team's better. So I get the analogy, but there is that portion of it where I disagree because I don't think there's a Ricky Henderson, Devin White, Paul Molitor, and Joe Carter that somebody's going to be able to throw at us in the closing moments of a football game. That would be the way I would answer that.
That the most frustrating part about this whole season is that we've had the best constructed roster for the better part of a couple seasons, and all of the issues are I mean, I feel like a broken record. I probably sound like one too, but they're self-inflicted. They're internal issues. These are not external issues. It's not the Lions had a really good corner and they shut down AJ, and they had a really good run or defensive line and they shut down Saquon. It's like, no, we decided not to show up. That's the issue. If we wanted to be like last year, we could be, but we're not, and it's frustrating. And it's frustrating because we know that not much has changed, but what has changed has a really big impact. So.
Huge impact. The offensive coordinator. That's what's changed, right? And you not only lost the guy who had control over the offense, but you now replaced him again with a guy who is under Nick's thumb. And I think these are recipes for disaster. It happened in 23. We saw that. And that turned into a whole train wreck. Then Nick comes out, well, he's developing the game plan, but I'm calling the plays and blah, blah, blah. You can talk about Nick trying to just defend his guys and trying to be a stand-up dude and all that. Bottom line, the fucking offense was awful. And the second half of that year was a full-on five-alarm disaster.
After that Niners game, it just felt like it felt like the Niners opened up our chest for the rest of the league, and they're like, "That's how you beat them. That's how you beat them." Totally exposed. And we were shit.
If you remember early in that game, we went right down the field and ended up settling for 3. Then we held them 3 and out, went right down the field again, and had to settle for 3 again. You scored touchdowns on those first 2 drives, and I will take it to my grave that final score is probably flipped the other direction, because now you've turned them one-dimensional with Brock fucking Purdy way too early in the game, and Shanahan will push the panic button. But that's a couple of years ago. We don't need to rehash that. All I'm saying is I don't see a team out there, especially this season, that has Ricky Henderson, Devon White, Paul Molitor, and Joe Carter to throw at the Philadelphia Eagles. I just don't see it. Now, Fanny, I seriously hope you're kidding with this question. Ricky Henderson was about 9 feet tall. I hope you're kidding. I think you are. I hope you're kidding.
He ran like he was.
Yeah, well, if his ego was 9 feet tall, I can tell you that. Ricky was always very impressed with Ricky's accomplishments. That's the best way to sum up Ricky Henderson. All right. Let's do it. What do you got? What do you think? Sunday, 4:25. What's coming out of that game, brother? Don't be afraid to call it a loss if it's on your mind, bro.
No, there's no way that the defense lets us lose. It's only gonna be a question of how much we win. I mean, I'm that confident about that defense, about our defense at the current moment, that I know that against a team like Dallas, even away, it's not if we win, it's just by how much. I think we might get to Prescott 4 times. I think we sack him 4 times. I think we might get away with a pick. I think we get a couple turnovers. I think our offense clicks a little bit. I think there's a glimpse that we didn't see this past week, but I don't think we're all the way back. I think we win 20-10.
20-10. Hold Dallas to 10 with that offense in their house. Wouldn't that be a wonderful Sunday? I like it. I keep tripping over my own Johnson here by trying to call out the Eagles offense. It's finally going to be the breakout week. I'm going to go the other way this week.
But if you don't do it, it will happen.
I'm going to go the other way this week, and I'm pretty well aligned with you. But I like it a little bit closer, unfortunately, for all of our cardiac issues. I'm going to say it's 21-17. I don't think we're able to shut Dallas down like we did the last couple of weeks. I'm certainly not saying this defense is an aberration,
No.
I just think that it's a lot to ask for 3 weeks in a row against high-powered offenses to keep them 10 points or less. And that's why I'm calling it, 21-17, 21-14, somewhere in that area. But I do like the Birds to win because, once again, and these guys all know it. I sound like a broken record all the time. We are more talented, and when you're more talented, lined up, I don't care if you're playing a game on the moon, I expect to win that football game. And his team's got to know what's on the line this week and next week, right?
Yep.
You win this week and next week, there is a strong chance you're clinching the division. And then your sights get set on that number 1 seed. So I like it. If you hold a gun to my head, I like a 21-17 Birds in a victory. But again, the shirt is here for a reason, folks. So that's the way I'm going with it. I do love the defense. We continue to look strong there. Take away. I would dial up the same type of game plan that we did against Detroit. Try to take away CD. Don't let Javonte Williams get going. If Pickens ends up with 80, 90 yards and a touchdown, then you live with it.
So be it, yeah.
And let the defense cook and rattle Dak's cage. Their offensive line is pretty solid enough. They're kind of average-ish, so they're not great. There's no Penei Sewell over there to worry about, and we were still getting a lot of pressure. So I can't think that the Dallas line is going to be able to bottle this up. I think they may have to run a lot of 2 tight end, or keep a Javonte Williams into chip and to help pass protect, which is then going to limit the options downfield for Dak. And eventually, that law firm of Carter and Davis is going to make noise. We all know it. 21-7.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Throw out your final thoughts here, brother. Weekend overall, right? We talked about a little AFC shit. We know what we think about the Birds going in. So give me your NFL final thoughts going into this weekend here.
Well, with the Chiefs and the Colts game, that's gonna be really interesting. The Chiefs have been in back against the wall games already this year, and they haven't really pulled out the win. And is this weekend different? I don't know. It's going to be a really big test for Indianapolis because despite their record, it's still the Chiefs. It's still Mahomes and Reed and Spags and Kelsey. It's still the Kansas City Chiefs. And so and it's an Arrowhead. And so if you beat them, it's still a big deal. It doesn't matter. They're 5-5 or they're 10-1. And so that's always going to be a big test. And if Indianapolis wins, and hey, that's a really big kind of a move for them. For us, the league is going to be perpetually lucky the longer that we decide to keep our problems internal and not let them be external. If we figure this out, we will truly be dangerous. And we're going to be poised to make another run to go back to back. But until we make that decision to do something differently, our defense is, they're putting on a showcase that I hope that Eagles fans will remember for years of how much we were leaning on them in this season. So kudos to defense, and we give it to them every single week, and I will continue to do so without fail. But there are self-inflicted wounds. That means that the solution is also self-inflicted, and until we do that, it's going to be like this every single week. And we just hope that our defense lasts long enough in order for our offense to come into shape. But we won't know that.
We'll find out on Sunday. What are your plans for Sunday? Where are you watching the game at?
Well, I'll be watching at home. I was able to my schedule for work kind of came out, and was able to have Sunday at home. And so lucky enough to be able to watch with my dad again.
Excellent. Very good. How is Dad doing? How's Steve doing?
Oh, my dad's doing great. He's a big Alabama fan too, and so whenever Alabama loses,
you're gonna make Fanny's day over here. Christ,
Alabama's been quite the mixed bag this year, and so whenever Alabama kind of shits the bed, it's like, the Eagles are like the last hope there. And so for so long in a season, they've you know, I don't think he's had a single week where they've both lost. And so usually when something happens, the other team wins. And so he's been good with that. But no, everyone's good. Everyone's good.
Good. Good to hear it. Well, you folks all know what I'm doing Sunday. We got a big one. Looking at upwards to about 170 heads up at the back porch on Sunday for this one.
Wow.
Jordan Hicks and his family, obviously our guests of honor. Great to partner with True Strength Awareness. They are actually going to start listing us on their website as a partner, which is really awesome. So Sunday is going to be a big fun day, but it's going to be a lot of prep work ahead of that. So we are going to get rolling here so that I can close up the signups for that and then get the email out to everyone and then the post in the group for all the slackers who didn't sign up so I can tell them what they are and are not going to get away with. A lot of fun still happening for me after the show ends tonight. So, as always, folks, you know, Fanny, who we got? Russ Taylor, Lou Mancini, Lou Dominguez, Keenan Harmon, and I'm sorry if I missed anybody else. There's a whole shitload of comments in there. Folks, come on back again next week. Mason and I will touch base as far as you know, what day we'll do this next week. Friday's obviously out of the question because we play on Friday. There's no way I'll be able to do it. So it'd have to be ideally Wednesday, but I do know that's the night before Thanksgiving. A lot of people get plans and shit. So you and I just need to talk and figure that portion of it out. But we will be back again next week. Hopefully we'll be talking about a big Birds win in Little D against those 1-star rated shitbags down there in Dallas. But come on back next week and we'll take care of all that for you. Until then, folks, this has been UnHappy and the MP, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family. Proudly brought to you by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Call 215-467-1980 for all of your group and party information. Folks, get on to your weekend. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. Remember, the judge is not back in until Monday. Mason, take it away. As always,
Go Birds!
go Birds!